Well, I guess it's about time I actually talk about One Piece for once. And this is actually going to be a mini series of me pretty much tracking my journey through One Piece with the reviews of every arc that I've caught up with so far. Now, I didn't really think to do this until where I'm currently at. I'm at post time skip. So in this video, I'm mainly going to be talking about what I've enjoyed before I get into the new stuff. So basically, I'm going to have two videos centered around pre-time skip because there is a lot to go over. Just what I liked, what I kind of didn't care for. And yeah, we're just going to go from there and see how much I really am liking One Piece. Mind you, I'm coming from a Naruto and Bleach fan of the big three. I love both of those series. And One Piece was the last one for me to get into. So let's see. So right there, first we talk about Luffy and the Straw Hats. I think Luffy's a good MC. He's a straightforward character in this vast and political world. I think with him being like this, it makes everything else around him kind of stand out more. But he also stands out within himself because Luffy just want to throw hands. If you got any problem with him, he gonna throw hands first, ask questions later, and he not gonna kill you. So, you know, he's a good guy. He's just not doing anything too complex, or he's not really going to think about anything too hard. If you want to be free, if you want to do whatever you want to do and accomplish your dreams, he's going to help you do that. And now Zoro, he's my favorite character. I think just he's a badass. He's going to be the world's strongest swordsman at the end of the series. And I think everything regarding Zoro is very simplistic as well. I just kind of wish he had a little bit more for him in terms of just, I guess, his story and kind of these other plots on his journey of being the strongest swordsman. Usopp, I didn't think I was going to like Usopp that much, but over time, he's not that bad. I think when he was first introduced in like the Sur village, I didn't really care for him. I didn't care about the village. And then he came off way too annoying for me. And between the introduction arcs like Romance Dawn and this one, I think Romance Dawn is a solid start off to this very long story. But I think Usopp over time, when he's not really the focal point, he's just kind of filling out his role. We're fleshing out his character about bravery and wanting to be a good pirate for Luffy. They do a pretty good job of it. Nami is a thief. I think Nami at first, she didn't really stick out that much for me. I think if anything, it was because there wasn't that many women introduced in the beginning. But I think for what she is, she's a solid character that at times can grow, but at times it feels like she's a very stagnant, like she has her purpose and doesn't really exceed anything much of that. But as the navigator of the crew, she's always going to be important in some sort of fashion in any of these arcs. So that's a good spot for her, especially since she's one of the OG members of the crew. Robin, I love Robin's backstory, her character, her personality. Her devil fruit feels like it could be used a little bit more frequently, in my opinion, in terms of like battles. And by the way, both of them, Oda must have been on something he was drawing them. I swear he makes them fine as hell every time he draws them, but that's just my opinion. Chopper, I don't really have much of a personal bias or favoritism towards Chopper. I just look at him as like the mascot of the series, and that's really about it. I think after Drum Island, he kind of peaks. Same thing for Frankie. Frankie peaked in Water 7 in his lobby, and ever since he's been pretty meh, but I thought he was pretty cool in the beginning. Post time skip, not a big fan of Frankie, but I think his introduction was the most different because he started off as an enemy and it took a while for him to really get on board, and he was just so out there as a character, has a ton of charisma, but he's a good fit for the crew. And Brook is actually a decent comedy relief character, and his story about loneliness, that was actually hitting, and didn't expect him to be a cool fighter too. The soulless ice that he's got going on, I think that's a dope addition. Getting into some pros and cons first, let's get into the cons, then we can finish off on a positive note. I gotta say the bad stuff, the fake out deaths, not a fan whatsoever. Between Pell, Oliver Nail's lightning bolts, the Bon Clay sacrifice per se, didn't hit at all, especially Pell. Pell's was probably the worst because he just got destroyed by like the biggest bomb in the series, and he comes back at the end as if just nothing happened to him, as if he didn't just say basically a last words type scene, and then he's just back at the end. I hate those. The arcs can be ridiculously long. They feel like they could literally be cut down by a good chunk and keep the necessary information at moments needed. And now, but like where I'm at now, it feels like every arc needs to be like 60 episodes. And whether you like it or not, One Piece definitely has a very repetitive format. It's very formulaic from the start to finish. It doesn't really have anything that's entirely different. I think the Summit War Saga is probably the best span of arcs you get, because going from something like Sabayoti to Impel Down to Amazon Lily is such a different contrast that leads into the big war arc. I think Oda just knew that he had to do something different for this, and he definitely hit on all ends with it. And I'm giving this like a half con. The soundtrack, I need the soundtrack to be a little better, but I mean, it's already too late for that. But it feels like a lot of it is just repeated songs just throughout the entire thing. Like there are certain tracks that are played for sad moments and for, at times, regular talking. But that might have just been the budget, because I mean, this was made around like 98, 97. But on to the pros. Just, I guess we'll do the bonus pros like this. Devil Fruits, I actually really like Devil Fruits because they come off as, they're like a power system, but they're kind of not. They're almost like a rock, paper, scissors type thing where it really just depends on the matchup. I think Logias are cool. Zoans so far are hit or miss. Some of them look pretty epic. Some of them look straight ass. Haki is an interesting concept that they added. I guess is a way to counter Devil Fruits, or just to give people another sense of power, or another addition to the power sailing and the power system. I like it. I think the fact that you got 3 different versions of it, then you got the Conqueror's Haki, which is the best one. It's really extremely simple, which I'm glad that it is, and it works for the most part. I've yet to see it used in a bad way. And then the bounties, I think the bounties are really one of the more hyper parts of the series, just because it really shows how strong and important these characters have gotten from the start to the end. Also, the anime style, the art style and the animation doesn't really bother me. I know some people probably look at it as bad because it's extremely old, but it maybe because I grew up on 2000s anime and 2000s cartoons, this doesn't bother me whatsoever. I think it really benefits, especially some of the fights. Like, the fights kind of come off as, at times, just chaotic and extreme because buildings being destroyed, fighting on boats, and you got these explosions, you got these crazy Devil Fruits going about. I think the cartoonish style really adds to it. It makes it look more epic, in my opinion. And I mean, the world building kind of speaks for itself. It's like every island has a purpose, every island means something. And then the character designs, kind of like the Devil Fruits, they can go from really nice, really cool to what in the fuck is this? I think the arc that really got me invested in what One Piece can really be is Baratie. I think that really started it for me, and the style of One Piece. In a sense, you get the introduction to Sanji and Mihawk, who's a fire character. Hopefully we can see more of him down the line. Don Krieg was forgettable as a villain, nothing really to write home about. And Luffy could help Sanji achieve his dream as a chef. This is also where I really understand like what Luffy's character is supposed to be, because in the beginning he kind of just comes off as like a high ambition, but yeah, he's incredibly stupid type character, but he could throw hands. But now when you see his interaction with somebody like Sanji, it's like, okay, I see where his future as a character could really be and how it's gonna shine. Plus, this is the arc you get Zoro versus Mihawk, which is an iconic one-sided fight for the most part. And then you get Zoro's pledge to never lose again. And up to this point, he has not done that. My boy's been delivering a lot of W's. Actually, most of Zoro's fights are probably some of my favorites, just because probably, you know, the 3-sword style. He's just got that cool factor about him. Arlong Park was the arc that really made me go, yeah, I'm actually really enjoying this and I'm really invested. Because you get Nami's hatred for Arlong. Arlong is a villain. To me, I rocks with him. Up until that point, Arlong was one of my favorite characters because he had this hatred for humans and he just had this savage-like nature towards them. Meanwhile, for his people, he's trying to come off as like this righteous person who wants best for them, which he really does. It's just the way he's going about it. It's just like, man, that's not right. You can't just be disrespecting these humans. I know you have a bad history with them, but it's like not all humans are bad. And I kind of like that he doesn't necessarily change. He sticks to his ambitions and his conviction towards them. And then you get Luffy versus Arlong, which to me is still one of my favorite fights to watch. I just think the chaotic nature of it, and then you got his crazy weapon, the dual freaking it almost look like shark teeth on his blades as Luffy and him are going and battling up into each room. And then you got the room where Nami was writing down like kind of like her diary and what she was going through in there. And Luffy destroys the building, kind of really symbolic for what he's doing for Nami. And then of course you got him putting the straw hat on Nami. That's pretty iconic. That was really dope. That was probably one of my favorite straw hat moments as a group. And Nami's character really shined in this, especially with her backstory with her sister and her mother. This arc was just fire all around. This is a 10 out of 10 for me. So I completely forgot to mention Sanji. Sanji is a straw hat for me. He's on the 50-50 scale because right now I'm not liking him. He is too horny right now. But I need smooth Sanji back. I need the suit. I need him to just be fly. And then he just got the kicks, and you know he doesn't want to dirty his hands for his cooking and all that. I need that back. This horny ass Sanji 24/7 is a little bit too much. Now, Log Town for me is really where I like Oda's writing, mainly for setups. Something about these setup arcs, because it'll be one in another video, I just really like because they're shorter, they get to the point. We're still getting those cool character interactions like Smoker Luffy and him kind of thinking about the Pirate King and Roger and the history of that and where they're at. Zoro meeting Tashigi, him getting the new sword, and you get the introduction of Dragon as Luffy's father. Like, we got all of that, and I think it was like under 20 episodes, or it might be a little bit 20 to 30 really, but I thought this arc was good, and it was a good transition, and it was kind of like a calm down too, because you're getting some lore, but you're also getting story progression in between that. Dragon is another character like Shanks, like Mihawk. it feels like I'm barely gonna be able to look at these characters that many times. So when they do show up, I really gotta cherish it, because once they show up, they ain't showing up for at least another 300, 400 episodes. Although I didn't care for some of these other arcs like Reverse Mountain, Whiskey Peak, I just wasn't invested in them. Drum Island, even though I felt like it could have been shorter, I ain't gonna lie, it was one of those arcs that almost got me a little bit emotional for Chopper, just because I got a soft spot for animals, and seeing him going through what he had to go through, the discrimination, and then his relationship with the other doctors was really endearing and really cool, and seeing him finally develop that courage to move on. Also, the whole design of Drum Island was one of my favorites because it was always snowy. It just had like a whole different vibe to it. Plus, this arc foreshadows Blackbeard, who in my opinion, if he's done right, he might go down as my favorite One Piece villain, one of my favorite villains ever. I ain't gonna hold you. Blackbeard kind of nice with it. But even though Drum Island is really good for Chopper and like all the foreshadowing of lore, Luffy's climb up that mountain, something about that really resonated with me. Especially the fact that he was carrying Nami and then Sanji at some point up that mountain, showing how much his crew really mattered to him, and just the pain he was going through to make it up there. You could feel every inch of that climb for Luffy. Now the last arc of this video, Alabasta. Alabasta, for that as long as this thing was, I actually enjoyed almost every bit of it. We got Ace's introduction, one of my favorite characters at this, especially when he first arrived. Something about it gave me like Trunks vibes. And I'm not even like the most knowledgeable Dragon Ball fan, but just his introduction, he felt like he had way more experience. The Logia fire fruit is such a simplistic fruit, and it's a fire ability, so who doesn't like a cool fire user? And then his whole outfit, like the shorts, the kind of cowboy hat, but he has like a surfer vibe to him. His boat is powered by himself with the fire. Ace is really cool. Barreau works, I think, for Crocodile's group, they were okay to me. They didn't really leave a strong impression per se, but Crocodile himself, Crocodile is one of my favorite characters still to this day. Crocodile was smooth. He came off as an underground criminal mafia syndicate guy. Something about those characters always resonated with me. Anytime there's some sort of like mafia influenced villain, I'm all there for it. Vivi and Pell, I ain't gonna hold you, I didn't care for Vivi. I thought Vivi at some points was kind of annoying when Luffy gave her that right hook to God, boy. Ain't gonna lie, I kind of laughed. But in all seriousness, Vivi's character was alright. It wasn't bad per se. It was just kind of like, for the princess type, I never was really into, stories that were kind of centered around that, but it wasn't too bad per se. Pell, no. Ever since he survived that, I'm not a fan of Pell. And then this is also where Robin joined the Straw Hats, gets away from Crocodile, overall fire. The fights actually were way better than I thought they were going to be. Didn't care for Sanji and Mr. 2. I'm sorry, I just couldn't. Especially when he was trying to turn into Nami and Sanji couldn't fight her. I thought that was a bit ridiculous. Zoro versus Mr. 1 was pretty raw. I ain't gonna hold you. I didn't think Mr. 1 was gonna be that nice with it. And then I like that he was a durable, sharp fighter, while Zoro has like all out power with skill with his 3 blades. And then the ending sequence was just cherry on top. It was, Zoro looked as rough as he's ever looked. That was his hardest fight, but he came out looking so badass, and I got a lot more respect for Mr. 1. And then Luffy versus Crocodile, I mean, what is there to be said? This is a top 5 fight for me at this current point. Just the way this fight started at the underground, in the sand, Crocodile's devil fruit is fire. Something about it really is a good fit for him. I don't know what it was about sand and Crocodile, but I liked it. And then the fact that my favorite part is easily Luffy kicking Crocodile from the bottom to the freaking sky, basically. And his Crocodile's body being in the air, showing that Crocodile's defeated, Luffy freed everybody, there should be no more war, was dope. Especially Symphony number 9 was playing. Nah, they was definitely in their bag when they made this. But that concludes everything that I've summarized. A little bonus edition, my top 5 characters as of right now. In terms of what was in this video, we're gonna go Zoro, Ace, Robin, Luffy, and Crocodile. And with that being said, hit up the main channel if you're interested in anything Jujutsu Kaisen related, as well as hit up my Twitter if you're interested in just me tweeting about random shit regarding anime, sports, and whatever comes to my mind. Subscribe if you didn't already, leave a like, and I'll try on the next one. Peace.